Hi there, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to do a video about my arbor, and this is probably the third one I've done. I've been focusing for about 2 weeks on this arbor. I was inspired by a picture I found on the internet. I don't know if I'll ever make my arbor that nice, but I'm going to try and approach it, and that's my inspiration for everything I've been doing here, trying to get all this color and get this side of the yard brightened up a little bit. So up through last week, I had 6 hanging baskets here. But this weekend, I went over to Lowe's and I wanted to get 2 more hanging baskets. And I had 6, so I wanted to get up to 8. So I bought this large one here and I made this flower arrangement. This hanging basket cost $20. And I'm kind of a DIY guy. I wanted to make something myself, be a little more creative. And so that's what I ended up doing Friday. First thing I did is I arranged this and got it hung and moved a few of the baskets around to get them in the right position. And the second thing I did on Friday was I made another hanging planter of a different style that I had in my mind for a while, but I finally made it, and I'll show you how it turned out. So this is the hanging planter I made. It's got 4 different pots. These pots fit right in the rings. I picked these up at Lowe's, and I think it turned out great. I really like it, and I think there's going to be a few more of these type of things coming out of my welding shop. Well, as I said in the first step, I got the flowers arranged in the basket. I got the soil in, I gave it a good watering, attached the chains, then picked it up and carried it over to the arbor. This is a bigger basket than the rest. This thing was heavy. I got the large basket hung from the arbor. Now it's on to the shop to work on my custom planter. The first step is to make the rings that support the clay pots. I'm using 1-inch flat bar for these. I have a tool to make arcs and rings from flat stock, but first I needed to know the length of stock to make the rings. So I measured the diameter of the pot and multiplied it by pi, 3.14. The pot diameter is 4 3/4 inches. When I times that by 3.14, so I cut the length to 15 inches. I cut the first length and it was ready to be made into a ring. The bending tool has 3 rollers, 2 on top and 1 on the bottom. One of the top rollers is adjustable. With each turn of the adjustment knob, the roller is raised slightly, increasing the angle of bend in the piece. The piece is run through the wringer multiple times, each time increasing the angle of the bend until the ring is formed. After the final turn through the wringer, the rings were ready for test fitting with the clay pots. When I was satisfied with the fit, I welded the seams and the rings were ready for the next steps in the fabrication process. I welded a 2-inch stem to each ring. This will be the spacer between the rings and the square post. Next, I welded the ring and stem assembly to the square post. This completed the planter fabrication. I set the planter on the workbench for a bit before painting to let it cool off. I painted the planter, and while it was drying, I made some more of the large hoop chains. I make these chains from a 4-inch torsion spring. A friend of mine gets me scrap items like this because he knows I find good uses for them. I cut the spring down the center to get the individual rings. Connecting the rings into a chain takes some time, but it isn't that difficult. I lock each ring into the vise and then use large channel locks to get the leverage I need to pry open the seams to connect the following ring. I repeat this process till I get the chain the length that I want. So I got the plants planted in the clay pots, and then arranged the pots in the planter ready to be hung up on the arbor. I got the length of chain that I wanted and hung it from the arbor. I had to stand on a Home Depot bucket to get this done. Then I got my planter hung from the chain, and I think it looks fantastic. Well, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. And also please comment with any suggestions or ideas. And subscribe to see more of my videos in the future.